What's happening? What's new? Tell me something new.
Um, I guess everything's new. Everything's go. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's been a while since I saw you. I think I saw you before it all shut down. I think that's when we saw each other. I
Yeah,
came over at the gym for you, and
yeah.
then yeah, I mean, shortly after that, we were we were prevented.
All hell broke loose.
All hell broke loose.
But it must have been, aside from the shitty parts of a quarantine and isolation, um, you must have benefited somewhat from the closure. Like, how's business has been good or what?
Yeah, business has been good. I mean, we've seen a lot of new faces and had a lot of new phone calls coming in. I mean, everybody's looking for everything. So
Yeah, yeah, right on. No, that's great. I'm happy to hear that some people have been able to turn this into a positive, right? Because I know for myself, like probably the worst 2 months of my life, and I've been through some pretty rough stuff. So just the stress and anxiety just killed me. So
yeah.
no, it's great. And of course, I was thinking of you guys the whole time because yeah, where are people going to get stuff other than White Lion? So um,
Yeah, I ran into a mutual friend of ours, Joe, from Average Joe's in Niverville.
oh, Chris, yes, Chris, yeah,
He came in. He came in yesterday and was talking about maces and clubs and stuff. So we had a little chat with him, and yeah. So
that's
I think
good.
seeing Dino, I said actually I'm going to see Dino tomorrow. So yeah, it's good.
Right on. Yeah, no, he's yeah, he had a rough time too. Like again, owner operators, we had a tough time these past few months, but I think for a lot of us, it gave us some clarity, kind of told us where to put our energy.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, it taught me that I need to just do the things that I want to do. A podcast is one of the things I keep dicking around on. I'd start it and then I stop and I start and I stop. So I think when we're given such a stressful time or such a obstacle to overcome, it shifts our focus. And I know for me, a lot of the things that I've been putting off, I just started doing. Like, let's just do it. Let's just devote the time, a couple hours a week, just get it done. So right on. Yeah. So I wanted you on here today. Again, the podcast is about talking to people I want to talk to, basically, that I don't get a chance to talk to. I'm too busy. My life is crazy. I really don't socialize. But a podcast is a way of sitting down with people I respect, people that inspire me, people that have done amazing things, people that have gone through crazy things or amazing things. So for people that don't know who DJ is, and I think a lot of people do know who DJ is, uh, tell us a little bit about your history in the industry. Like, where did you come from? I know you're big in fitness, you have a history in bodybuilding, but like, what put you on this path? Take us all the way back.
Well, I mean, I was started training in the basement with my dad. I mean, I was just actually thinking about this podcast, and I can remember going to the Max Bell Center with my dad in like 1983, 84, and standing backstage and watching him compete in the novice. Like the
Right.
novice, he was like, how young was Maba back then? I mean, I actually just ran into one of the guys that actually won that year in the novice. I mean, he still looks phenomenal. He must be in his like late 50s, but I mean, the dude's just shredded. So I mean, I was introduced to bodybuilding at an early age, and I think at that time, I mean, when you're lifting weights, you think about bodybuilding, not so much like performance or what we think of fitness now, or even what I think of fitness now. So I mean, we spent a lot of time in the basement training and like with the Weider cement plates, the pink and the yellows, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, that's where it all started. And then I started to think of like applications of strength in sports context. So I was in gymnastics when I was younger, but then I started playing rugby in high school, and that's when I found that I loved running, and I liked the fast paced nature of rugby. So I played rugby for many years, and then yeah, I mean that's how it happened. And then for for bodybuilding, I actually was doing an internship in Calgary as part of a master's program that I was doing for political science at the University of Alberta. And then I didn't have a vehicle. I like, yeah, it was a time in my life that was like full of like transitions and like harsh realities where like I had a close friend die, I went into like a serious depression, and I just like I'd always been training, but I never realized I had never lived alone. Like I moved away to go to university, but I was living in residence. And then when I moved out of residence, I had a roommate. But then when I moved to Calgary, I didn't know anybody. And then I was, coming back from this, this situation in my life. And so I just I had no vehicle and I worked downtown. So I started to ride my bike, and it was like 10K round trip from my house to the gym. So I rode 10K there, 10K back, 7 days a week. And then I was getting in like surprisingly, good shape. And this one dude was like, "Hey, did you think about competing before?" And I just said, "Yeah, I'll do that." And so then it was the Muscle Mania in 2003. And I just started to have this hyper focus for this. And I mean, at that time, I think that bodybuilding and the intense training was, I don't know, as much of it was as a distraction as it probably helped me save my life in a lot of ways, because I think that doing that healthy living and forced cycling and everything else, I was hyper focused, and I pulled myself out of that without any interventions. I mean, and it was pretty sweet to have that happen. And then I competed, and then I placed second in my category in the welterweight. And then after that, I continued on with my master's program. And yeah, man, natural bodybuilding was fun. And I think that it was something I always wanted to do as a young man, as a boy. And yeah, man, it was awesome to be part of that for that time. And it was nice. It was really good.
It was definitely new back then, for sure. Up until that point, there was really no natural bodybuilding. It was all, bodybuilding, and that's what we knew. And we look at the magazines, and it was the muscle mags. These guys are huge. You knew there were some things they had to do to look that way. But early on, the 90s, early 2000s, there began this demand for natural bodybuilding, not taking such extreme measures and taking people who are hyper focused, who are dedicated to their bodies. It's holistic health. I think when people think about you or myself, they know that we have to live a certain lifestyle. And of course there's the extremes of, I have to do this to jump on stage, I have to do that to jump in a powerlifting meet or whatever it is. But the reason I can do that is because you have this holistic approach. You have a lifestyle that is healthy in one way or another. You're doing the things to take care of your muscles and bones, to take care of your heart, to take care of your lungs, your brain, your mental health, all that kind of stuff. So, and for me, I know bodybuilding was taking it to that next step and realizing the potential that I had. So I don't know if that was the same switch for you. How old were you when you did your first competition?
I was
25. Okay. Yeah. So I was 30 when I did my first one, but that's kind of when I realized that anything was possible if I put my mind to it. Right. And I think you realized the same thing, that you could do whatever you wanted, as long as you had this recipe of things that you needed to do to get to your goal. So no, that's great. I love that. And I love the passion that people have about things like that, sports and stuff in general. So, so you get into competing, you complete your master's. I only know you as a Mr. Fitness, somebody who's into, training people and coaching clients, and videos online of all the things we're going to talk about soon, White Line Athletics. What got you into actually being a trainer? Because most people don't know that wasn't originally what you were going to do.
No, I finished my master's degree in political science, and a thesis that I did research on examining why the World Bank's poverty reduction and alleviation policies have been failing. I mean, with the persistence of abject poverty and disparity and wealth distribution, I was really curious as to why, with all this money that we have, why is there still poverty?
Right. Yeah.
How is it possible? And so I dedicated I guess pretty much 3 years to doing research and writing on this topic. And I was very interesting, because I see that poverty is a source of human suffering, but not for the individuals, but I mean for everybody. Because yeah. In a certain sense, if you're suffering, I'm suffering because I haven't done what I can to lift you up. Is the way that I think about it. So I mean, if there's a group that's suffering without, society itself is also suffering, because we can't, form together to lift everybody up. So I was interested in that. And so, I did a lot of research, and I found out that after doing all this research and examining the policy and everything, that I'm more inclined to to do research and academic writing than actually practice. Like to be in the policy world and to be creating policy, like national or international or instrumental in that, I didn't feel that that was for me, mostly because of the politics that is inherent in that policy making process. And I felt that I liked what I did, and I liked providing a survey of the landscape and the historical evaluations analysis, but actually getting in there and getting my hands dirty, I felt that at that particular point, I felt that I'd be too frustrated with the process. And interestingly enough, now is that my mindset is totally different in a sense where I'm process driven and focused, where I have to love the process in order to be engaged in what I do. And at that time, I knew that, but I didn't really have the words for it. But I mean, so yeah, then I was like, okay. And then, of course, you know, when you're in school, you rack up a lot of debt. Yeah. So then a ton of debt. And I was like, okay, dude, like, you need to figure this out. So I called my buddy and I said, hey, listen, I said, can you get me on the oil field? As well, I'll tell you what to do, but I'm not going to, you know, get you in. I said, that's sweet, because then I got to do it myself. So I took all the, you know, the courses, H2S and, you know, first aid, and hey, so I started applying, getting applications in, and then I started working as a roughneck in the oil field to pay off my student loans. But I mean, dude, like the oil field was the saving grace for me, because like getting in there, I didn't realize how little I knew about work. And like I thought, oh yeah, you know, I train hard in the gym. I mean, from my experience and to what I know now, that is not work. I mean, to work with a sense of urgency within a team to achieve a time-sensitive objective under very stressful circumstances, that is work. And being able to maintain a level head, make reasonable decisions within a team that's diverse in their age, ethnicity, and professional background, that is work. And so when you are working there, I mean, I learned a lot about myself in the sense of like, I had a very large ego, and I had I took a lot of criticism personally, and I wasn't able to really have the necessary professional development quick enough to excel early on. But then I had some serious talks with myself, and I was like, listen, man, you need to learn this. You need to learn. So then I started to understand what I needed to do to learn, like basically create like a syllabus for myself of how to roughneck in my head. Like, what are the skills you need to acquire on a daily basis to keep your job? Learn one new thing every day. And that's what I did. I would focus on learning one new skill every day, and I would practice. And yeah, I got yelled at, but that's just how it is. It's not bad, but that's just how it is. I was respectful of my instructors there. And then slowly I started to acquire more skills, apply them successfully, and then I learned to work. And then all of a sudden, once you learn to work, I think that being a roughneck for me was one of the most valuable experiences in my life, because I think that like when you are on the rig floor, on a drilling rig, roughnecking, I mean, you're swinging heavy iron, and the focus is to work as safely and as fast as possible to get the job done. And you are working with other men that are also moving heavy equipment, and it's like an iron ballet, man. It's beautiful when you see like skilled people working, and say, I want to be like that. And so you start to acquire this sense of like teamwork, and I don't know, man, I think that, and so going from there, I was able to stabilize myself financially. And then it turned out that it was right around when the oil started to fall out of the bottom. And our rig, actually the company we drilled for, they lost their license to drill new wells because of an environmental situation that happened. So then we weren't drilling for a while. And at that time, I was still, I had become very interested in the history of whiskey and bourbon whiskey. And so I studied it because I was bartending through university. So I became a student of this like art of alcohol creation. And I dove into it with a lot of focus and studied the history of bourbon making, whiskey making, how the barrels are made, and all the histories of the brands. And so I was like, I'm going down to Kentucky and Tennessee because I want to see what people that live their passion live like. Like, what's it like to go down there and talk to people that are like 3 or 4 generations deep in whiskey making? And for me, it was like people that are so passionate about their craft. They know everything. They like, for example, Maker's Mark, they have their yeast held in 7 different locations because when you use yeast in the fermentation process, it produces different phenols, which creates different flavors, flavor profiles, and aromatic profiles. So yeast is very instrumental in making whiskey. It's like, wow, this is so cool. So I went down there and listening. And then I met a mutual friend of ours at, what do you call that place? River Rouge, Leisure Center, Fort Rouge there. And then he's like, hey, I need a trainer to do this thing, this competition that I'm doing. So I said, okay. And I was like, well, I always wanted to train. I don't owe anybody anything. So what would I do if I could do whatever I wanted to do and not owe anybody anything? I said, yeah, I think I want to train people because that's what I always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And how I trained then is very different than how I train now. But taking the lessons that I learned from like completing a master's degree and the research for my thesis, becoming a roughneck in the oil field and like learning how to work in that situation, I was able to maintain this like this student-based professional focus and always evolve my approach to training, coaching clients, and understanding that needing to be a good coach is very much instrumental in becoming a successful trainer. And so it was harder to learn in this because, I mean, here you have a very broad range of professionals of different ages. So you need to be very open to people that are younger than you, older than you, and the same age as you, and also with different practices. And you need to understand how to respect different positions, listen and learn, and shut up a little bit and, you know, take part in the community and listen. And so that's, I mean, I probably wouldn't be doing what I do, how I do it, if it wasn't for all the people that I met before here.
Right. Yeah, I can relate to that 100%. Right. So what makes a good coach is all the lessons that you've learned through all the different things you've done, all leads up to teaching people, you know, certain ways of doing things. And then your ability to be regimented and to develop each individual skill and take time to analyze each skill. I think one of the things that always impressed me and that always stuck out in my head before I even met you and then after just following you and stuff like that is you're always up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. The sun's not even out there and you're out there filming content or you're working out or whatever it is. These are things most people would never, ever do for one excuse or another. What gets you to get out of bed and actually do these things?
You know, the reasons have changed a lot. When I first started doing it, I was coming back from a bicep injury, and I thought really that I was really disappointed in the fact that I let myself go, and I listened to a lot of people's advice when they said, oh, you shouldn't do anything and whatever. So I did that and I shouldn't have done that. And then I just looked at myself and like, what have you done, man? Like, dude, you're supposed to be living a certain lifestyle and you know, you have to be that. So, and if it's not even physically, you need to have that mindset. So I think it was in 2018, right around December 17th or so, I started to make the shift. And then on New Year's Day, I started getting more and more focused. And then the early morning started to come up. And you know what, as much as and it's interesting because I was thinking about how I was going on social media and I was, you know, putting it out there, but it's so weird to be public about your life in a sense, but I was doing it more for me.
Yeah.
And to put myself, I say, listen, man, you need to do this. Like if I was on the stepper at the time and I was doing, you know, double weighted vests and all that stuff. It was just more to get myself back and being sharp. And like, I felt that if I can't, you know, show up for myself, how am I going to deliver to my clients, to my White Lion customers? I mean, and I saw that this was a necessary part of like hardening up again, like, hey, let's get serious here. And I mean, that was just part of my process of getting back into mental shape and physical shape. And yeah, I loved it. And you know what, my focus for doing it now is a lot different, because I enjoy training in a certain way. And I feel like sometimes that, you know, when you're training, you are creating energy, and it might not be always the best energy for those around you. You know, sometimes I feel like I want to get aggressive and, you know, get assertive, and I don't want others to feel uncomfortable. So I train early and train alone, you know, have some partners sometimes, but they understand me, and it's not going to be a problem, right? I mean, like in your gym, you can shut the doors and you can, you know, put on whatever you want, and you can lift, you can get serious or get however you want to get. So, I mean, I do it now just mostly for like the solitude of like, don't do it for the show. Like, no one cares. Get in here for yourself, man. Do the work. Lift, lift stuff that you don't think you can lift. And that's what I enjoy. I enjoy that early morning, like, what's up?
Yeah, yeah, right on. Yeah, it's again, it's not something I could ever do. My lifestyle is a lot different, but I can. It motivates me to maybe do something a little bit more extreme that I wouldn't normally have done. So, yeah. So we met probably. I want to say almost 5 years ago now. I still remember the day, or the day I first saw you. You came into this business I was working at. You were pitching this thing that I believe was pretty new at the time. I think White Lion was relatively new at the time, to someone who at the time really didn't seem very receptive to what you were offering. And I saw the interaction, I saw you leave, and then I said, I have to go talk to this guy. So I don't know how soon after that it was, but I came over and I met you, and we talked a little bit, and I loved your energy. I loved what you were about. Your philosophies, you really reminded me of myself, even though you're a little bit older than I am. But I feel like in our industry, we need to kind of be around the people that motivate us, have similar philosophies to us. But let's take a step just back a little bit before that. Where did White Lion come from? For those that don't know what White Lion is, it's a company that sells fitness equipment and products, and really known for things like elastic bands, kettlebells, the maces. But where did this vision come from? And tell us a little bit about it.
It was when I was business, like just my personal, I had this idea of like multiple streams of income, right? I mean, it's not even that right now, but I mean, just as like the things like, okay, well, I was going to do meal prep company, this, that. And I think like somewhere along the line, I wanted to do boot camps in the morning. And I thought, well, maybe I'm going to buy some equipment and going to, you know, sell it to my clients. And so White Line Athletics, my partner, my business partner, is the owner of Morfit Training Center. So Stuart, my business partner, owns Morfit, and I do my personal training services out of his gym. Right, the gym is his, and I train my clients here. So I'm walking out of the gym, like it was probably in late June of 2015, and walking out of the gym, and he's like, DJ, I remember it clearly. My hand's on the door. I say, what's up, Stuart? He goes, do you want to buy some foam rollers? I said, man, you know what? I was going to ask you the same thing, because you know what, I'd asked Stuart if it's okay if I have boot camps, because I didn't want to, you know, conflict with his program. He said, yeah, go ahead, you can do it, no problem. So I said, okay, well, I was thinking about doing the same thing. Oh, well, you know, if you ever need them, you know, just let me know. So I left, and I was pissed. I'm like, dude, I waited too long and this and that. And I was having this, like, you know, beating myself up on the way home. And I got home and I just said, no, I'm gonna talk to this guy. So I sent him a message. I said, hey, listen, I said, would you be interested in having some like exploratory conversations about potentially working on this kind of project together? Yes, I'd be very interested. I was like, oh, awesome. And that's you know, and that's one of the things where, you know what, for me, it's like there's never have the perception that it's a no or it's a rejection, or it's like the opportunity to collaborate. If somebody else has the same idea, hey, that's fine. There's more than enough to go around, but never kind of pass up the chance to, you know, explore collaboration. And so I'm happy I did that, because I was feeling, you know, defeated by that at that time, I wouldn't feel that way now, that's for sure, because I'm probably a lot more confident than I was then. But I say, so we started talking, and actually we sat here at this desk, I do 6-7 hours, and we're talking about, names and everything else. And we had this Fit to Go. Fit to Go is the name. And so we registered Fit to Go with the corporation's office. No problem. They got, because it's a trademark apparently down in Houston. Okay. So then we're sitting there, and then we have like, okay, here are the names. And like 3-4 hours. River City Fitness, Citizen Athletics, Chronic Fitness, all these like names. No. So I go home and say, Stuart, I got to go. So I go home, and so I said, so what about Pink Unicorn Fitness? He's like, what? I said, okay. And I said, what about White Line Athletics? I said, where'd that come from? I said, dude, I just thought of it. He goes, I like it. I'm like, I like it too. And I still have it written on the piece of paper at the corporation's office to make sure I got it right. So I said, yeah, White Line Athletics Limited, man, that's the one. So we got it. And actually, we're just in the final steps now of getting our trademarks all taken care of too. So I mean, that's a long process, but yeah. So it came out of a conversation for foam rollers, and then it grew from foam rollers and bands to kettlebells and maces and everything that we see today. So I mean, I guess it really came out of both of Stuart's and ours interest in helping our clients, because I mean, I wanted to provide my clients with foam rollers, and so did he. So I mean, we both wanted to provide like affordable options for equipment that we feel is valuable.
Right.
And I mean, a lot of equipment that we have, and we always think we don't carry a product that we don't think is useful. And that's one thing. Like everything that we carry, we believe in, right? In some way or another, we think that it's going to benefit someone. Not everyone, but there's going to be someone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, do you know how many products you're up to now?
We have like, in terms of the products, we also have packaged products and stuff like that. So I mean, it's very like if I tell you it's 175, that includes the packages and everything too. So.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's a long step away from just foam rollers. So that's awesome, and congrats, because I've seen the growth. Again, I remember the first day you walked in there, and you had your little thing you were trying to sell. I think it was just bands at the time. I'm not sure what it was. And I remember going to see the little display at MoreFit and everything. And now you got a big website with all the stuff on there. I know you guys, one of the only companies I see do this is like free delivery. What is it? Same day all over Winnipeg. You're known for your handwritten notes, right? Everybody gets that handwritten note when they order something. So the quality of service, like the care for your customer, these are things that are often lost in the world of Amazon, right? People could just as easily go on Amazon, order a set of bands, and get it the next day, but they don't get that same, relationship that you get with White Line Athletics, right? So
that was one of the things where the cards were very important to me to have that. That was kind of my thing, and I just feel like, as e-commerce was younger, like 5 years ago than it is now. But I mean, I feel like the brick and mortar stores have that opportunity to have that personal interaction. A smile, eye contact. You hear my voice, anything. So I mean, for me, the cards are important because I get to spend 2 minutes with you.
Yeah,
it's important, and I feel like I love that part of it. I loved it then, and my handwriting hasn't got any better.
Yes.
It still needs decoder to figure it out. Like a lot of people will call me like, what is that word? I say, well, I'll tell you what it is. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I love that part of it, and it's an important part for me because it gives more of like a human touch to the transaction. Because I mean, I don't know, it's a transaction is callous and cold, but I mean, here at least it's, for me, I feel like it's like a handshake and a smile sort of thing. So I like it.
Right on. Cool, man. One thing that sticks out for me is pulling up to MoreFit to grab something. Especially I used to, for listeners that don't know, I worked at MoreFit for a little while I was transitioning to here. But I can remember seeing Mom in the office packaging bands. How how is your relationship, I guess, with your mother, and how important is it that she does help you out? And is this something that she's always done? Is this something you just kind of pulled her into because it was convenient?
You know, mom, it was mom jumping in to help. And now that, you know, mom is like, now is our first employee, we have another employee too. But I mean, I think it's very, it's very nice to have my mother work with us because we get to know each other in a different way. And I mean, she'll always be, you know, my mother and everything, but now we're able to work side by side together. And then you need to, when you hear something from your parent, it's not you, the associations that you have with someone's voice are very strong. So when you hear feedback from your mother, it's not like the feedback you would receive like years ago. You need to listen to this human that's next to you because they have a very valuable insight. So you learn about yourself and how you take in information and how you filter it appropriately or inappropriately in certain contexts. So I mean, in order to have a valuable working relationship, you need to really understand what's happening, you know, right now in this situation. And that's important. And it's made our relationship a lot better. And it's nice that she can, you know, be a part of, you know, our company and I mean, and be integral in its growth. I mean, it's nice to be able to do that because I feel like if we weren't working together, we wouldn't see each other very much.
Yeah.
And as people, you know, move on in their life, family time sometimes becomes sparse or is very structured. Like, okay, I see you on the holidays or on the weekends, but I mean, now it's every day, and it's yeah, and it's nice. And sure, you know, we have, you know, there are times that we have our differences, but I would have had that difference with probably anybody on that topic anyway. So what's the matter? I mean, it makes our relationship better, and yeah, I enjoy it. It's yeah, it's really nice.
Right on. Yeah. As somebody who really doesn't have those types of relationships anymore, I admire it. I wish I could have the same thing. And I think it does teach us the value of taking the opportunity to be with those people in one way or another, and take advantage of it. And you're lucky to have those opportunities. So, right on. Okay. Products. I don't want to get too much into each product you carry. Obviously the bands are huge, but something that's really taking, you know, kind of the next thing I see happening anyways in training that melds many things together is these maces and hammers. Just kind of tell us a little bit about the benefits of what they are, what they do, because this is something you guys, these are products you sell. So
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when we decided to bring on the maces, we said, well, we can't just, we like to offer support. That's pretty much where I'm going to go with this. I mean, when we brought on the bands, we offered a lot of workshops, free
yeah,
workshops. Come on down, we'll show you how to use the bands and everything else. But with the maces, I saw the benefit, Stuart saw the benefit, but neither one of us could use them. I didn't know how to use a mace. So then we got in touch with our friend Tanya, and then she has a Gatsu Winnipeg, and she has coaches that know how to use steel maces and Indian clubs and heavy clubs. So I approached Tanya. I said, listen, can you help us? We want to bring in these products, but unfortunately we don't know how to use them well enough to instruct them. I said, I can go and get a certification, but I don't believe in that. You'd have to have a practice.
yeah,
You know, have an established practice. And to be established, you need to be able to have enough feedback from your students and have a refined approach to coaching Q a variety of different people from different populations. And I would not acquire that in the short period of time. So we partnered up with, it was at the time CrossFit Winnipeg. And so they had, you know, workshops and everything else for us. So, I mean, the mace can be used in many, many ways. And I mean, it's an old training tool that originated in India. Normally called gadas, which are bamboo sticks with a cement on the end. And essentially what you'll see a lot of people doing is they'll be doing swings behind their back, either around one side of their body only called a 360 or alternating sides, which is called a 10 and 2, right? So basically wrestlers used to use them for their training because as I'm doing the 10 and 2, I'm pulling over like I'm going to throw somebody, right? So, I mean, it's used in akaras in India today still for wrestling training. So I mean, it's used as a rotational strength training tool to basically to learn how to load your anterior sling. Essentially, that's what that is. Now we have, steel mace flow, which is basically like loaded movement patterns that is coupled with dance and strength movements that are like, we have familiar movement patterns, then we have totally new ones that we've never seen before. So, I mean, what you can get from the mace is like, what can I get from a barbell? Well, how are you going to program that? The same thing with the mace. How are you going to program that? So, I mean, with all the weight being at the end of this long shaft, varying from 30 inches all the way to 43 inches, I mean, if you swing it, if you try to press it, even if you try to hold it here, you're working on a ton of core stability, postural stabilization, and hip stability. I mean, it challenges people in ways that I don't know how to categorize it. Some people call it conventional. I don't like that word. I mean, I guess typical North American, like say 1900 strength training, balanced weight on either side of a shaft can't give us, because now this whole offset component to it, right? So, I mean, you can even take somebody that's very, very well trained and give them a workout with a 4 kg mace that will get them to work in ways they haven't worked, because, I mean, it's variable stimulus.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's nice because it has the opportunity to challenge even the most trained people, either increase the cognitive demands in your training or increase the demands of the load and how it's going to be positioned and repositioned through your training sequence. Yeah, I think it's going to be big. It's big now, and I do think that it's going to help a lot of people with the right coaching.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree 100%. I think that for variety, it's important, and then just to change people who might have just stagnancy in their training, right? So like they're not progressing. Well, we can throw in these dynamic movements. We can change up, motor patterns and stuff like that. Retrain some of the motions that they have, and they can get more benefit out of this training they're already doing. But then we can also take somebody who doesn't want to put a barbell on their back and give them a mace, and they can start there, and then we can gradually work to something else. So I definitely see the value in it as a tool. And the biggest thing that gets me about White Lion and selling these products is you're not just selling it like, hey, here's the next greatest thing. It's 110% better than weight training, and you're going to lose this much weight. And it's you're not selling them this quick fix. It's just a tool that could be used by anyone. And you also package it with, here's where you can learn how to use it. These are the experts, right? So that's always something that I can respect for sure. So that's great. Okay, so lots has happened here. Again, we talked a little bit about COVID, but before COVID, we had a little scare with you here. I don't know how much you want to talk about it. I think there's some lessons that could be learned about listening to yourself and your body and knowing when something's wrong and doing something about it, because I think professionals, specifically men for sure, are terrible at this. We say there's nothing wrong with us. We don't go to the doctor. It's just pain. I'll just get over it. I'm stronger than this. Tell us a little bit about what happened. I think it's last year now, and just walk us through it. You can use your words.
Yeah, I mean, during probably around like March of 2019, we started to have like a big like cognitive decline. I think I was feeling very cloudy, and I thought that I was getting burnt out because I'd been working by my own choice. I'd been working a lot of hours, like 80-hour work weeks was not uncommon, in addition to training early and like just tons of stuff. So I felt like, okay, you're getting, depressed, you're getting burned out. And then somewhere around the middle of March, I said, forget it, dude, you don't know. You're going to keep going. You have a ton of stuff to do this year, so let's keep pushing. So then March, April, May, June, and then July, getting very, very bad headaches, but also coupled with like almost like strong depressive episodes. And I was like, dude, like I didn't want to go to the doctor, mostly because I don't want to get medication. And like, I feel like I'm not a doctor or a scientist, so my opinion on that doesn't really matter, but I didn't want to do that. So the headaches were coming and coming, and like all day headaches. Like, But it was like, I mean, I thought they were migraines. So, taking Advil didn't work, extra strength Advil. I had Tylenol 3s that I had from my bicep injury. So take, 2 Tylenol 3s a day. That was okay. I'm like, dude, I can't be taking 2 Tylenol 3s a day. This is stupid. I'm like thinking like, this is not healthy. So then go to the doctor. Doctor tells me I'm getting older. I'm not as young as I used to be.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, dude, I was younger then than I am now. I said, okay, sure enough. He goes, here, take this Voltaren, these pills, take these 2 a day. And, I woke up, I think somewhere during I think it was a Thursday, actually. I went to the chiropractor on Wednesday to see if they were adjusting my neck or something. And then the Thursday, I didn't have any vision in my eye. And I was like, oh, this is not good. So then Saturday, I was, sitting at the gym here, and my friend Fern, she's like, you look like shit. What's the matter? I said, Fern, I've had headaches for like 3 weeks now. This is brutal, because this is already like the third week of July. And so she goes, you got to go see my friends at the minor injury and illness clinic on Harrow. Okay, they know they're ER doctors and everything else. So I go see this guy, Eric Smith. And he's like, have you got an accident? I said, no. Have you got hit? I said, no. I know it seems like a concussion. But he goes, normally, migraines go away without, like, dark, quiet migraines will in time go away. But he goes, you have these headaches all the time. We're going to get you in for a CT scan. So I said, okay, fine. And then the next day I went for a CT scan. He's like, you have a massive mass on your brain. Like, Christ. So he shows it. I mean, this whole area here, he's like, it was like the CT scan is not very clear like for that, but you can just tell there's a huge mass on there. He's like, okay, well, you have a lot of options. Like there's potential for chemo, surgery. He goes, but before that, they say we need to understand like what this is, because you don't know. So then they scheduled me but normally if you have a brain tumor that's malignant, I mean, it's not the first instance of cancer, right?
Yeah.
Normally testicular cancer, stomach or otherwise. So he goes, we got to have you in tomorrow. We're going to check everything else to make sure that you have no other, to make sure we don't know if this is that, but make sure that you're free of everything. It's okay, no problem. So I go home and, like that was, I think like 2:30 in the morning, go home, wake up, go back, is scanning everything, testicles clear, stomach clear, lungs clear, lymphoma, and nothing like that. Good. So then it goes to my neurologist, and he's like, yeah, he goes, most likely it's a meningioma. So I mean, meningiomas are common, but he goes, this one for your age is very large. Like it's, it's pretty big. Like it took up 25% of my head. But I mean, the size of the actual tumor combined with the pressure that it was putting on, he's like, you've been feeling tired? I said, I would go upstairs in the office, and I'd sleep for like 6 hours on the floor. Mom would be working away, and I'd be like out. And so I'd be like, I'd been moving in storage. Like I'd been working in storage for hours and hours, moving kettlebells for orders. We had just got a massive order in July. And so he's like, normally you would have an aneurysm or a seizure with this size of, tumor. He goes, so, you're lucky. And I'm lucky because, I mean, at that point, I'd been working in the wintertime, moving storage outside. And then we had been working in our like controlled storage. And so, okay, he goes, here, you got to take these drugs. We're going to do operation, a week emergency operation. So, yeah, I mean, it was like within, I think, 9 days, they had me and they split this open and they took it out.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So what were you thinking through the whole process? You don't really mention the thoughts that are going through your head because you basically had a type of cancer. How old were you at the time?
Well, it was meningioma is benign. Yeah. So it is a benign tumor that just basically sits on your meninges. And so it doesn't go into your brain.
Yeah.
It sits on the sheath. So I mean, I'm 40 years old at the time, and so he tells me this, and I can just see the orange walls around his computer, and I was like, dude, like I need more time.
Yeah.
And then after that moment, I mean, dude, it would be almost like you ever see like when a kid takes a dandelion And they go, and then it was just like that. It was like, I'll be good. And after that time, I had no stress. I was weightless. Like, it was almost like I was in the world for that week, it was the worst part of it all. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't concerned. I mean, the neurologist that I had, and he still, follows up with me. He earned my confidence in like 20 seconds. One of the most, like, the best bedside manner and compassionate humans. Not even a doctor, I mean a human being with such compassion. He's like, "You're gonna be okay."
Awesome. Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, dude, it's amazing because you know what? I watched like everybody around me, and rightly so, like fall apart. Everybody, and it was like the tears and the sadness. And so I'm watching this, and I'm like, out of all the crazy things I did in my life, I'm so happy that this wasn't self-inflicted. That's the first thing. So, am I more careful with what I do? Absolutely. And I think that if I was careless with my life and I caused that, I would have, the regret I would have would be huge, like insurmountable, not possible to overcome. To watch the pain and uncertainty of all of my family. And it was horrible to see the pain, And I feel like, that was the worst part of it for me, was to see that.
Yeah.
For me, I was calm because you know what's going to happen. I mean, you just got to wait for it. And I had, like I said, I knew that I was going to be okay, and I don't know how. But, I woke up and the guy's like, "You made it." I was like, "Yes."
Oh, gee.
Yeah, I know I did. And actually, yeah, it was, and yeah, I mean, it was the clarity that I was able to get back in my life. I mean, it took me a long time to recover, longer than I realized actually. Like physically, I was back in training in 11 days, back in the gym. And I mean, that's one of the things for me was like, dude, I'm not going to be a victim, because there are people that have far less than me that are doing far better than me. So don't even think about sitting over there at the house. Oh yeah, no, get out, and you got to do shit, man. I don't recommend it, but that's mine to push myself and say, hey, no, you're not going to be this person that's afflicted. Like, I don't wear that as a badge. Get out there and get better. And so those were the steps. But actually, the mental part of it was a lot harder for me, and I didn't realize how hard that mental process was. Like, now I feel like I'm able to connect more with the world, but I think I spent a lot of time inside, and I think that the healing process physically was exponentially faster than the emotional like the emotional healing or the reconciling about what happened.
Right.
And it wasn't even tragic. I mean, I didn't get stabbed, shot. I mean, it's a routine operation. It's like stubbing your toe in the world of brain surgery, in my opinion. For me, like, it's not tragic. But I mean, I think I had a lot of internal like struggles dealing with the fact that that happened to me, and also the, like, not renewed brain capacity, but like my brain and the clarity and the focus that I have is normally when we get older, it's the long decline. We don't go back. Here, I've got back like 10 years of my life. Like, my energy, my focus. Initially, it wasn't like, I wasn't really where I am now, but that's just how it was. And I maybe, there are resources that people can go to, which I probably should have taken advantage of, right?
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? And like you said, how guys are, right? So I mean, yeah, I've taken the the time off that we had with COVID, I spent a lot of time, like the forced time alone, right? And a lot of time like training by the water and outside and training and thinking and focusing. And I'm probably now like 1 year on, I feel like I'm probably more connected to the world than I have been. But I think the disconnection that I had was part of becoming reconnected.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that all makes sense to me. I think there's many lessons we can take from that. And I think you have the hindsight bias now. So you're looking back and you know that it wasn't as serious as it could have been. But going through it, you don't know that. So you're going to experience all these emotions and, all these things are going to run through your head. But you've come out of it. You're more awake to the world around you. Maybe you feel like you have a second chance or an opportunity to at least do more and embrace more. And then just knowing that I think sometimes we know our bodies better than we give ourselves credit. I think you knew something was wrong, but society has told us, especially as men, to push it down and keep working. One of the things that I really try to push into people is like, take accountability for your own health. And the first step in doing that is listening to your body. I've had other guests on the show who've had similar problems with things with cancer and all that kind of stuff. And it took them, saying, no, I know something's wrong, right? And you knew something was wrong, but you didn't do something about it. And that's what we got to teach people is to look in. And I just had Kelly on the show talking about spirituality and mental well-being and all that kind of stuff and looking inward. And I think coming out of that, you're probably doing a lot more of that as well, right? You're looking in and you're embracing the world around you, but you're also acknowledging what's on the inside. And as guys who are fit and strong, and we often don't think about feelings and we don't think about mental health, and these things are weak. And again, it's holistic. And for you to do your job and me to do my job, health is a full holistic thing, and mental health is a very large component of that. Post or inter-COVID or wherever we're at right now, it's more important than ever, right? People are depressed, people have anxiety, people are stressed. So these mental health skills, looking in, like, this is so important. So I'm glad you're at where you're at, and you could tell just by looking at you, you're smiling, you're clear, you're strong, you have purpose, you're motivated. So I'm very happy for you that way. Awesome. So kind of what does the future hold for you then? You feel like you've got more energy, you're driven, the business is doing really well. What's next for you? Like, what's the future hold?
I think that one of the things that I've learned is like it's very important to like stay involved in your process. And sometimes I get caught up in outcomes, like, oh yeah, dude, the outcome is so anticlimactic. Like if you only did bodybuilding to get on stage, to get on stage for 3 minutes, I mean, that's the most expensive 3 minutes of your life.
Yeah.
You have to love the process, right?
100%.
I mean, for me, it's a lot of developing better systems and more resilient systems for White Line so we can grow. And so, I mean, basically, systems creation is what I'm interested in now, and how to have the framework in place that will allow us to grow with the vision that we have. And it's not about, like sales or anything else, but it's about building something and understanding the framework that you need to build and what you need to support that. And it's a very long, it's a personal process as much as it is a professional process to understand the systems that you need to develop something that's going to be sustainable, adaptable, and like able to withstand, change.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now.
Right on. Well, like, you're 5 years in, man. Like, the businesses don't typically last 5 years. So you've got that. You've just weathered a global pandemic. So I believe anything's possible for White Line Athletics. I think even in a world where the majority of people are going to buy 90% of the things that they need from Amazon or Click to Pay or whatever they're doing, people are still buying fitness equipment from you, from the local guy, because there's value there. I think there's always value there, both supporting local business, keeping money in the community, but also just that personal connection, right? That little note that you get, right? Knowing that they're going to bring it to you the same day, knowing that if one breaks, hey, we'll bring you one the next day, right? So I respect that a lot. And I know things are going to be amazing for you guys in the future. So where can people find you then? White Line Athletics, tell us, where can we find you?
In Winnipeg at 255 Taché, inside Morphy Training Center, second floor of Coronation Bowling Alley. So I mean, you find us in store. We have everything here for you to look at and try out. And so I mean, yeah, that's where you can find us. You can find us hosting our training classes for steel mace and kettlebells, and also online website whitelionathletics.com. Check us out there. We have a good presence on social media. Yes, I mean, Instagram is White Line Athletics. Type it in, you'll find it right away. So that's where you can find us.
Awesome, man. So any final words for the listeners? Anything you want to leave people with?
I was really hoping we were going to talk about Rich Piana.
Rich Piana, yeah. Yeah, we could talk a little bit about it. I don't know how much the average person knows, but
we can't talk about it. But I just miss our banter about it in the gym. Say, Dino, bigger by the day, Deej, bigger by the day. And I go, that's good enough. It's good.
Yeah, bigger by the day. Well, we know where he is now. He's 6 feet under, unfortunately. So I think you and I are living lives much more sustainable. Maybe not with the same intensity, but at least we can still drink apple cider vinegar.
Every day.
Okay, awesome, man. No, I appreciate having you on. I wish you all the best, and I hope our listeners check you out, and business does well. So,
and all the best to you and your family.
Thanks, man.